Today on Forbes, this startup wants to turn America's nuclear waste into power. Stafford Sheehan, CEO and founder of Project Omega, is explaining how his latest company started. He says, quote, "Buying uranium is suspiciously easy. It shows up in a UPS truck. You can Google it." With Project Omega, Sheehan, a Forbes Under 30 alum and serial founder, is taking on one of America's most persistent energy problems: nuclear waste. Some 100,000 tons of spent nuclear fuel are stored in more than 100 sites across the country, in purified water pools, as well as steel and concrete casks, the byproduct of more than half a century's worth of nuclear power. And as utilities, government, and industry turn to nuclear energy to meet AI's seemingly unquenchable thirst for electricity, that backlog of unused spent fuel is going to grow. And though the fuel still contains more than 90% of its inherent energy, the US lacks the means to recycle it. Sheehan thinks that's a wasted opportunity, and he's built Project Omega to exploit it. The company is emerging from stealth with $12 million in funding, info it shared exclusively with Forbes, at an estimated $50 million valuation, though that was before the company had a working prototype. The round was led by Starship Ventures with participation from Mantis Ventures, Decisive Point, and Slow Ventures. The government is involved as well through a contract from ARPA-E, or the U.S. Department of Energy's Advanced Research Projects Agency, Energy. Unlike other nuclear fuel companies, Rhode Island-based Project Omega takes a consumer approach to nuclear waste recycling, aiming to turn the power isotopes in nuclear waste into long-life batteries that people and the government can use. It was a natural product of Sheehan's long-running interest in clean power and background in heavy metal chemistry. Milan Koch of Mantis Ventures, who has known Sheehan for more than a decade, says he invested in Sheehan because he's gritty, a phenomenal scientist, and a good salesman at the same time. He says, quote, "He's the perfect archetype for this business." Sheehan landed on Forbes' 30 Under 30 list at age 27 with a startup he spun out of his Yale PhD work, anti-corrosion company Catalytic Innovations. Then he co-founded Air Company, which turns atmospheric carbon dioxide into jet fuel and consumer products like vodka and cologne, and was last valued at $436 million in 2024. After 7 years there, Sheehan left Air Company at the end of 2024. 2 months later, he sued for wrongful termination, alleging he was fired for, quote, "protected whistleblower activity." Air Company has disputed the allegations. The case is ongoing. After leaving Air Company, Sheehan quickly began tinkering with something new. Drawing on his experience with heavy metals from Yale and Catalytic Innovations, he registered Project Omega as a business last summer. The startup's work so far, while early, has been promising. It produced material in its Rhode Island lab, which it then sent to the Department of Energy's Pacific Northwest National Lab to convert heat or radiation from nuclear isotopes, such as strontium-90, into usable electricity. Sheehan says, quote, "We were able to measure electrical power coming out of it. We're actually doing this." Sean Hodge of Starship Ventures sees in Project Omega the beginnings of a world, perhaps a decade from now, where you never have to charge your phone because it is powered by nuclear isotopes, which remain viable for decades. He says, quote, "I would love to see a future with nuclear-powered phones, drones, computers, cars." Competition in the fuel recycling space is stiff and well-funded. The big incumbent is French company Orano, which deals with the full nuclear fuel cycle from uranium mining to recycling. It's controlled and subsidized by the French government. In the US, larger players are advancing. In early February, the Department of Energy awarded $19 million to 5 companies: Alpha Nur, Curio Solutions, Flybe Energy, Oklo, and Shine Technologies, in support of nuclear fuel recycling programs. Most of these companies are trying to turn spent fuel into specialized fuel for their own advanced nuclear reactors, a tenuous path as none of these reactors are yet working in the US. Project Omega is pursuing a different strategy, focusing on consumer applications for nuclear waste that already exists. For full coverage, check out Phoebe Liu's piece on Forbes.com. This is Kieran Meadows from Forbes. Thanks for tuning in.